Tom, so let's just go right back to the very beginning. Just talk to us a little bit about your upbringing, growing up with Luke, Sam, and obviously George.
We'll go right back to the beginning. Dewsbury Hospital, 21st of April. Julie Burgess on her third pregnancy, pushing out biggest twins in Dewsbury Hospital. We still hold that mantle to this day. But yeah, mate. I mean, obviously, everyone knows sort of the Rugby League family, but yeah, that's what we were really. We sort of grew up around Dewsbury area, just very working class, and yeah, we just loved our sport, Rugby League. Obviously, my dad played for various different clubs. Retired fairly early. My mum actually started playing when my dad retired, so I've sort of got memories of going to watch my mum play more than my dad. But yeah, we were always destined to play.
This was the moment when all four brothers were on the pitch together.
Now the four brothers are out there together.
I think playing in the back garden from 3-4 years old, as soon as we were able to walk and catch the ball, we were doing that, and yeah, I think it sort of when you're playing and you're in your sort of career still, it's sometimes hard to look back and yeah, sort of reminisce, but yeah, I suppose like we've had some great times. Rugby League's give us a lot throughout our lives and careers, so yeah, we're very grateful.
And just that leads me nicely onto the next question. Starting out at Dewsbury Moor, what are your memories from maybe your first session and going down and pulling on the Dewsbury Moor shirt for the first time?
Yeah, it was just a great sort of community vibe down there, and it still is. It's great, and I think I remember I had the old Puma Kings. My mum got us Puma Kings, and I had the blue ones, and George had the red ones, so they could tell the difference between us on the field. And that was one of my earliest memories, is wearing those old school Puma Kings, and just having fun really, going down. Obviously, we used to go down and watch the brothers play from a young age, and then as soon as we could get into under fives or under sixes, we started playing. So yeah, I think one of us had scum caps on as well. One of us had a golden one, and one of us had a maroon one. So yeah, it was just good fun. Like, you're still mates with, still like know people who I used to play with back in those days, and that's what the beauty about coming back here and being so close to that sort of surrounding is. Being able to link back up with those people and get down to Dewsbury Moor, and even last week was a really good experience for me to go back. We're playing at Dewsbury there, and seeing a lot of people there that knew my dad and that sort of thing, and knew growing up.
And then obviously from Dewsbury Moor, you went into, we'll say it quietly, Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah.
That was sort of the start of your professional journey really with Leeds.
Yeah, not many people know that actually. Like me and George were in the foundation at Leeds, and they had a good setup there. They were a really good club, and Jamie Jones was actually coaching us there, and Rob Burrow was involved too with the young ones, and it was a really good experience. Had some great memories there, and quite a lot of the players actually, funnily enough, moved over to Bradford from the 16s. So there was about 4 or 5 of us who were in the foundation at Leeds, a called Window of Opportunity, moved over and signed and took up a deal with Bradford for the academy. So yeah, it was a sort of a weird moment. But like we had an option to go with Leeds or Bradford, and I think at the time Bradford just felt a bit more of a community feel and a bit more personal, and that's the club we ended up going for. And obviously back then, I think it was 06 or whatever, it was sort of, they were flying and doing well, so yeah.
And then obviously from Bradford, you made the jump. You went to Australia. That originally was a 1-year deal that turned into a hell of a lot longer than that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because even before then, like, it was obviously before we played first team for Bradford, me and George went on a holiday to Australia to see Sam over there, and I think he'd only played 1 season for Souths, and we were keen to go out there and see how he was getting on and go see where he was living, and Because heard a lot about it throughout the year, and yeah, as soon as the season finished, we had a bit of time off. Me and George flew out there, and yeah, we loved the place. And it was on that trip that we met Russell, and offered basically wanted to get the four brothers to the club. That was his sort of vision, and I was a bit more hesitant, and whereas George was all in, he wanted to. He didn't even want to come back to England. He wanted to go straight there. Leave. Didn't want to come back for any more clothes or anything like that. But anyway, we both came back from that holiday, and then George actually went at 18, and I stayed at Bradford for 2 years and finished out my contract, and I was happy I did that. I wanted to make my own path. Played those 2 years at Bradford, and I was really thankful for that because made some great teammates there, and some great players that have gone on to great careers. I was thankful for my time at Bradford, but yeah, it ultimately came around at the end of my contract with Bradford that there was an option to go to South, and I was on the phone to the brothers quite a lot, and I vividly remember just a phone call with George in the back garden, and he was just saying, look, it's only a 1 year deal, minimum wage, but you'll be right, just get on the plane, and it'll all be sort of history once you get over here, and it was really like just sort of went from there. I had to work my way into the team, played through the system and played for the Bears, which was a good experience too, the North Sydney Bears, and I really enjoyed it and managed to get my opportunity actually through George hates me saying this, but through him getting suspended. And I made my debut, and then 2 weeks later he came back into the team, and I managed to stay in the team. So it's funny how everything works out. And then later in that season, in my first year, we all played in the same game for the first time, four brothers. So that was obviously that's a highlight there, and feels like a while ago now, but still vivid in the memory, and one of the definitely highlights of our career.
How did your mum take the news that all four of her sons were going to be playing together on the field at the same time? I
think she was just happy that she didn't have to go to 4 different games on the weekend.
Overwhelmed. I can't believe Luke scored that try. That was the best thing ever. That was the best thing ever.
And then there they all were.
We dreamed of it as kids, and for it to happen tonight, it's fantastic. I think, great credit to the twins on how they've come along in the last 2 years.
She used to growing up, but yeah, I think she was obviously immensely proud, and she's our biggest supporter. She always has been. She's the loudest in the stands. If you sit near her, you need to get some earplugs. So she's always been really our biggest supporter, and big rugby league fan growing up around the Featherstone, Pontefract area. She was always into rugby league, and she just, I suppose, a bit of a full circle moment, having 4 sons that have all gone on to play full-time rugby league.
But not just to play full-time rugby league in the NRL, you won the competition as well. That's obviously quite an achievement for any aspiring rugby league player, but for someone to go over there, do that, but also do it with family as well, must have been huge.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people argue that in 13 we had probably more polished team, if you like. We were flying my first year in, and everyone was sort of ripping in, and we were sort of unlucky not to get to the grand final in 13, and so I think 14 was that sort of one of those years where we just knew we just had to get there, and everyone was motivated. Obviously Sam had made the decision he was going over to England rugby after that season, so there was a lot of motivation. We didn't know he was going to come back. We thought it might be the last time we were all going to play together. So there's a lot of that, I think, that went into the sort of the success of the year. And definitely, playing with all my brothers was a massive motivation when you're playing. And I definitely, I'm not going to put it down to that as winning the comp, but we had a lot of great players, but we sort of drove that brotherhood in the team, and it was a great time in our lives. And obviously, we all played that year multiple games. I think Luke actually played more than me because I was injured at the start of the year. But at the end of the day, it was a squad effort. Luke, I think, was the 19th man in the grand final. But at the end of the day, we were all part of that 14 grand final win. and something that will always hold dear.
Coming away from club rugby for the moment, what a career you've done on the international stages as well. You know, England, Great Britain. Just how important was that for you, being an Englishman abroad in the NRL, but still being able to come back to England to play for Great Britain and pull on the England jersey as well?
Yeah, I think I've always really been really proud Englishman over there in Australia, wanting to take it to the Aussies and the Kiwis every week, and I think always really grateful to be able to get the chance to represent my country. I was really, I think, fortunate to get picked in the 13 World Cup. I was sort of a part of that squad for experience in a way. I was only 21 and I got picked in the squad to sort of get me in there and see what it's all about, and it was an awesome experience. And I ended up playing in the first game, which was a bit unexpected really, and I think it set me up really. I got that chance and showed that I can play against the Aussies and the best in the world. And I think a lot of it is obviously luck. You got to be fit at the end of every year. You got to be playing in the team and stuff like that. So I think I just being able to be consistently through the years, being able to put myself in the frame, and like I said, really fortunate to be able to pull that jersey on, and I've cherished every time I've done it. Playing for England, I never thought I would have played as many games as I did, and like I said the other day, I'll never retire from playing for England. Some people do retire from rep football, they call it in Australia, but I'll never do that. I'll always be available if they want to put me in the team, and I love belting out that national anthem, God Save the King now, innit?
Stepping completely away from rugby for this next question, Tom. You moving to Australia gave you the biggest prize of all. You've got a fantastic family with Talia and the kids. Just for you to go over there and your career to have taken that path, and then now look at you, you've got a fantastic family. You must look back and just think, wow.
Yeah, it is like crazy how you look through your career and you see yourself change as a player, whatever, but you evolve as a person, and ultimately you meet. I met my partner over there, and I have 3 kids and become a dad. So you're constantly changing, constantly evolving, and I left England all those years ago as just a young sort of lad wanting to play rugby at the top level, and now I've come back as a father of 3, married, and it's definitely crazy to think how things have changed over the years, but it's the best thing ever, being a dad. For me, obviously losing our father was a really tough time when I was young, 15 years old, and I think we were always, all of us are really big on being a father, the father role, because we know how important it is. So I think it's the best job in the world. For me, I'm a father first, and a footy player next, or rugby player I should say now, Rugby League player. But it's the best role. I love going and picking my kids up from school, and they're going to school around the corner here in Huddersfield now, and it's really cool to be able to go full circle and show them a bit about where Dad's from, and I'm actually not far from where I went to school as well, so it's a really nice experience, and I'm just enjoying it all.
So they've all embraced the move. I remember you saying earlier on in the year that your kids they've seen snow for the first time. They've really embraced and taken to life in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, they love it. The kids are happy with it, as long as there's a park around the corner, and get out, and they're loving riding the bikes now. The weather's actually been really, really good recently, hasn't it? But yeah, like when we first came over, it was a shock to the system, but they were still out there wearing skirts and tops, because they're mad out. They don't feel the cold, but yeah, I think one day I had to take them to school on a sled, which is really cool. and they didn't want to go. They wanted to go out, you know, playing in snow. But that was my. I managed to get them to school because I dragged them on the sled. So I think things like that, little memories, you know, we're making as a family. It's really really nice, and you know. I won't say too loud. My wife's actually really loving it here. Talia, she's enjoying it. She's she's made friends with a few of the mums at school, and she's actually wondering whether or not we're gonna actually go back to Australia. So we'll see. I said give it a couple of years. We'll see how we go. But
not quite yet. You've got a 3-year deal.
yeah. But like we'll see. But yeah, like it's just great that she's in that mind space, and we're really enjoying it here, and everyone's settled.
Yeah, you
got a few Yorkshire accents as well coming.
They all picking the accents up.
Yeah, Sophie asks what's for tea now and stuff like that.
The move to the Giants, you've already sort of touched on it a little bit, and you've said earlier on in sort of previous interviews with the club, you wanted to come home, you wanted to come back to the area. Was Huddersfield the perfect option for you to, you know, see out the next 3 years?
Well, geographically, it's the closest, you know, for me, closest club to my hometown. You know, I grew up around the corner, went to school in Murfield, so it made sense. It was a big draw card for me to come back to where it all began, and being that Kirklees area. You know, I played for Kirklees service area, growing up as a kid and coming through the grades there, and that was a really big thing for me to come back here, and you know, if I'm going to come back to play in England in Super League, why not come back to where, you know, the area that gave me so much, because I feel like I want to give back as well. Obviously, we're working hard on the field and try to get success on the field, and you know that'll come. But also, it's I'm really loving being back and being in the community that obviously gave me so much. Being able to go into schools and work with kids and try and inspire them to want to play rugby league, because ultimately that's what we need to keep doing if we want to get this game growing and get going the way that we want it.
You mentioned there about the community and the fact that you're out in the community with, you know, inspiring people, inspiring kids. Dewsbury at the weekend, did that feel a little bit like a little bit of a full circle moment when you stepped out at the Flair Stadium?
Yeah, it was, and I loved it. Going around the stands after the game, seeing people in the stands there, and you know, like just hearing but like it's funny that I spoke to my mum through the week, and she used to go down to Crown Flats, the old stadium back in the day, and take us there, and yeah, it is like a full circle moment, and sort of we were inspired going to watch those games there and wanting to play rugby league. So for me, it was really nice to be able to do that, and yeah, I loved the atmosphere down there at Dewsbury.
Wow, big afternoon this for the Burgess brothers. Tom making his debut for the Huddersfield Giants after returning to the Super League for the first time in over a decade, and he goes up against his elder brother, the boss of the Warrington Wolves. So
this weekend could be your 350th appearance against your brother as well. Does that make this a little more special? And obviously, your mum's coming over from Australia to watch the games. Does that make it a little bit more special for the Burgess family?
It's funny how things work out in it, like the rugby league gods they call them. They've obviously put things in place this week, and yeah, like it's really cool actually. Obviously, Sam's over here and doing his thing with Warrington, and you know it's nice. We played round 1 against them this year, and there was a bit made of it, but yeah, it's funny how it's landed on this game, and my mum's just happened to be coming over, and she booked it, you know, start of the year, so it's really nice. Obviously, you don't play for the milestones and sort of things like that. You just play for success and play to be a part of a team. But yeah, it's always nice to sometimes look back and reminisce, and also be really thankful for what you've been able to do, and the people that helped you get there.
Now, I've got a few tough but short questions. What advice would you give to 10-year-old Tom Burgess if you could step back in time, 10-year-old Tom Burgess, what would you say to him?
I lost my finger at about 11, so I probably just don't climb any fences at Hunslet Parkside. But I think, to be honest, I got some really good advice when I was young, like a bit older than that, from Sam. Is just like, as a saying, is like the magic you're looking for is in the work you don't want to do, and I love that saying, because it's like I've always sort of prided ourselves on working hard, and like having fun with it, always having fun and having a laugh. And that's one thing my dad was great at. He was a bit of a practical joker and having a bit of a laugh and a bit of a clown, but he's always working hard. And that's one thing I'd say to my 10-year-old self, is just to keep remembering that, and don't take yourself too seriously.
Next question. Looking back, is there anything about your career that you would change if you could?
No, I don't think there is. I think I couldn't have asked for probably. Really lucky to be at a club like South for 12 years, 12 seasons there. Not many people get to do that, I think. So I think, no, I wouldn't change anything there in that respect. And I was really happy that I stayed at Bradford and saw out my contract there and didn't jump ship like the rest of the brothers. But no, I definitely wouldn't change anything. I think I stick by all my decisions, and I've always just gone with my heart, and that's the way you got to be.
We know your brother is a head coach of the Warrington Wolves. Do you ever see yourself going into coaching or a head coach as well in the future?
Yeah, I've been asked this a couple of times now, because I'm, past 30 now. But I don't think so. I'm not in that headspace right now. I can't see it. But things change. Like, I spoke to George recently, and he was similar. And then I think he had a bit of a time out from the game, and he's come back in, and I think he's working with some like the junior clubs near where he is at now, and he's really enjoying it. So who knows? Like I think I definitely know I want to work with players and people and help them get better, but not specifically rugby league, more just like with themselves in their mindset and that sort of thing, and well-being.
The last question, probably the toughest one. If you can pinpoint one try from the career of Tom Burgess, which one would be the favourite you've ever scored?
Oh, not many. There's not many there. I'm not known for scoring tries, but yeah, definitely the one that sticks out. I don't think it'll ever happen again, but I scored a try in Golden Point, and they were meant to go for the drop goal out the back, and Cookie just hit. I was just going through on a dummy, and Cookie hit me. Damien Cook hit me short, and I just a bit of open space. They were all running to try get the kicker, and scored in Golden Point to win the game. So against the Tigers, but it wasn't like a crazy like we needed to win that game or anything, but it was a big moment for me, and I think I don't know if that was the year we made the grand final over at South, but yeah, like it was that was a good moment.